Welcome, everybody, to the final Hall of Fame, Actors Hall of Fame of 2025. That's right, people. We said we were going to do 12 for 12 this year. We finally did it. 12 for fucking 12. And Dustin, we are here. We started the year with Mark Wahlberg. Then we did Jesse Eisenberg, Robert De Niro, Jack Black, Tom Hanks, Brad Pitt, Liam Neeson, Scarlett Johansson, Sean Penn, Emma Stone. We did Josh Brolin last month. And who are we ending 2025, our Actors Hall of Fame series with tonight?
Jamie Lee Curtis for Ella McCoy. No, we're doing Adam Sandler, The Sandman, one of the greats. One of the underrated greats.
Yes. I don't even know if he's underrated at this point. I feel like if we had done this 10 years ago, maybe, but now, he's absolutely one of the greats. I truly think that of everybody that we've covered so far, yeah, I'm going to say this because I think the difference is that compared to some of the other true greats that we've done, the De Niros, the Brad Pitts, the Leos, the people who are kind of like have been in their prime for a minute and like have just had all these different faces of greatness. What I appreciate so much about Sandler is that Sandler has gone through so many different phases and trajectories in a way of where he's constantly trying to like punch outside the box and not be pigeonholed because his mannerisms that he brings to each of his characters are so specific to him and have made his iconic, like his subgenre of comedy so iconic, literally to the point where his company that he started, Happy Madison, is synonymous with it. Like that's a company that is just as well known as he is, as opposed to like, I don't think there's any other comedic actor that has honed their particular shtick, for lack of a better word, into a brand the way that he has. And it's so funny because 9 times out of 10, that would be a death knell for an actor getting that pigeonholed. But somehow, some way, Sandler made it work. He was one of the first to make the deal with Netflix when that was like unheard of at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say Kevin Hart is trying to copy that model.
It's not working.
Just the movies aren't there. The movies aren't there.
Exactly. Yeah. And now I would argue that the 2020s have probably been his best decade yet, starting with obviously the revolution that was Uncut Gems. And we're going to talk about that a lot across this episode. Not just that it's inevitably going to be both of our number ones. I'm just going to spoil that at the beginning because I'm sorry. Like, how can you have any Adam Sandler list and not have Uncut Gems in your number one? That's just like hearsay. But I would say that again, and what's so interesting is, again, Uncut Gems doesn't happen if he doesn't have the career that he does, because the whole thing is that the reason why that performance works so well is because the Safdies wrote that part with him in mind. But that part is truly the culmination of all the different characters that he has done throughout his career, and the reason being that the Safdies were such fans of him and specifically directed him in a way that incorporated all those different elements. They both appeared on the Happy Gilmore rewatchables and talked specifically about how that was such a specific influence for them, for Howard Ratner, that character. And like I said, the post Uncut Gems wave, Hustle, Spaceman. We both just watched Jay Kelly recently. There's one that in the last couple of years also that I'm forgetting that was actually pretty good. Like, he's really, really showing that he's like, yeah, I got it where it fucking counts, while still doing the Happy Madison stuff, which at this point he just needs to show up. They shoot those things for a week and the rest are green screen extras. I'm kidding, but I've droned on enough. You've got a much longer relationship with Adam Sandler than I have, like almost every other actor that we've done. Your bits on Adam Sandler, your origins on him.
Adam Sandler, loved him since I was a kid. The movies I really was attached to at that time were like Big Daddy, and a movie he produced, The Benchwarmers, because
I forgot he produced that.
Yeah, that's a Happy Madison movie. And Airheads was another one where he's opposite Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi in the Lone Rangers band. Classic. And I just thought he was alongside Jim Carrey and Will Ferrell, for me, one of the most consistent and just distinct comic actors of his generation. And of course the SNL origin too, but the difference between him and Will Ferrell is not all of Adam Sandler's stuff necessarily worked outside of film, I would say. Once he became a movie star is when things started to click for him and people started resonating with his personality, but I feel like when he first, like, came on the scene in the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s, after getting, like, bit parts in shows like The Cosby Show, it's a good break, but,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
unfortunate.
saw that in like a Facebook thread. I was like, "Oh shit, Howard Sandler, Adam Sandler was in the Cosby Show." Okay.
Yeah. I remember because they used to show that on Nick at Night year like, so long ago, and I remember Adam Sandler showing up on there, and that's crazy. But, like, yeah, he had some great stuff on SNL, don't get me wrong. His musical stuff on Weekend Update's great. The Opera Man, Cajun Boy, everything he did with Chris Farley, great. But once he started doing movies, people started to be like, "Oh, this guy is a star and he's crazy," like in a way that Jim Carrey was crazy, but in a different, like more
Yeah.
East Coast way. Uh, but other than Canadian nuttiness. And yeah, but spoiler alert, by the next time we get a Sonic movie, we're doing a Jim Carrey list.
Okay. Can do
That's
that.
happening. That's he's completely overdue
Yep.
and has the career for it. But
Isn't that coming out next year?
Sand
I think
who knows, whenever it does. But mark it down. But yeah.
2027. That's when it comes out.
And I'm the only one who thinks this, but he reminds me of my dad, Adam Sandler. He just does. Like the funny good side of my dad, like and even like the comical angry part, like he is like you just in the baseball cap, it's just a very I've always had that feeling. It's weird, but I know. But yeah, I just think he's been consistently funny. To go along with my trend of like the weakest films, I'll give you 2. All right, the big 2 for me, for
I already
him,
know what one of them
are
is.
Click. I'm gonna go Click. That was the first one because that was, like, probably the first movie for me where I saw the trailer, and I realized once I saw the movie that all the funny moments are in the trailer,
Mm,
genuinely. And it's one of the most saccharine and annoying and just pointless movies by the end because it has one of those, like, "Oh, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up," like, fucking endings, and it's like but then the last scene is him finding the remote in his garbage and a note from Christopher and then he throws it out. End of the movie. Spoiler alert for a 19-year-old movie. But yes, that was the first one where I turned to my grandma and I was like, "That was bad, wasn't it? That was really bad." And the second one, the worst one is Jack and
there we
Jill.
go. Yep.
It's gotta be
Yeah.
Jack and Jill for me.
It's
And let me just pause you for a second. There's been a weird, like
oh no.
reclassification for this
No.
movie
Don't
since
tell me
just
people are coming around and being like, "Oh, Jack and Jill wasn't that bad." Don't tell me that's happening.
yeah, it's been happening.
No. Not Jack and
Yeah.
Jill. We can't let that happen. Not with Jack and Jill. I'm fine with that happening with the Star Wars prequels. Not Jack and Jill.
Did you see Jack and
No.
Jill?
That I would never watch it because it
Alright,
looks
this
like
is
abominable.
let me tell you the experience I had
Oh
seeing Jack and
God.
Jill. It was completely packed in the
Oh
theater,
no.
completely.
Jesus.
Everyone in the theater was laughing.
Oh God, that's
There was
even
a point
worse.
there was a point in the movie where I got up and I just started walking around, and everybody was like, they weren't even fazed by me walking around. They were fucking laughing. The entire theater was laughing, and then I just went back in my seat. It was like I was in the seventh circle of
Oh
hell.
my
I
God.
couldn't believe it. But other than that, I do enjoy his work. I mean, he has a stinker every now and then. Anger Management's one of the worst movies of all time. Hubie Halloween sucked. Ridiculous Six sucked.
Yeah, Ridiculous Six is not good. That's my worst for him because I've not seen Grown Ups or sorry, I have not seen any of those two, Jack and Jill or Click.
And even, like, one of his, like, more serious movies, like, you said Spaceman, which was just mid, in my opinion, and The Cobbler, which was, like, the one Tom McCarthy movie that Tom McCarthy, I don't even think talks about. So, yeah,
You could
he's had
probably
some
ask him about
misses.
that movie. He'd be like, "What? What movie? What?"
Yeah, exactly. But, that's a weird one. But, yeah, other than that, I think he's had a very commendable career. He's worked with a lot of really talented directors, as we'll discuss, and going into my honorable mentions, I got Eight Crazy Nights. That's another one that has kind of like a mixed cult following, but it's one I do really enjoy and is quotable to a certain degree, and it is very funny. I just think it's a really funny and enjoyable holiday movie. It's one of the few Hanukkah movies too, and yeah, I enjoy Eight Crazy Nights. It's a technical foul. Uh, Airheads, like I said, he's really Spanglish, which is otherwise really bad, and can't wait for James L. Brooks's Aloha, Ella Mackay in theaters this week. Can't wait. Um, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry is one of his more underrated ones. I liked him in
I missed that one. I'm really mad I missed that one because that one seemed really funny.
that. You would have enjoyed that, I think,
Yeah, I've
for
seen the
what it
clip
was.
of him like getting the two twin sisters to make out like 100 times, and it's hysterical.
That's the first scene of the movie too,
Oh, even
and
better, even
and the
better.
yeah, and the laughs per minute are there. It's a consistently funny movie. Like, does it have a questionable premise? Sure, but most of these movies do. Who gives a shit? It's a comedy. But like it's one of the few movies Kevin James works in, I feel like. Like him and Kevin James are good in that together. And Steve Buscemi has like one of the great like line reads in that movie. What is this? Gays of our lives? Great. Another great courtroom scene. We'll get to another courtroom scene that you probably didn't watch, but in my list, in my top 10. But moving on, Waterboy, Bobby Boucher, got to
Okay,
be an honorable mention. 14, Longest Yard, the superior um, Adam Sandler football movie. The superior Longest Yard. It's stronger than the original. I said it. 2005 was a pretty solid year for comedy remakes. Between this, Bad News Bears, Fun with Dick and Jane.
yeah,
Um,
all those were the same year.
I know. But yeah, Longest Yard, one of the more quotable Adam Sandler comedies, one of the most rewatchable Adam Sandler comedies. I love the ensemble, love the direction. I like just m- mostly everything about it. I think it improves upon the original. 13 Hustle, I think it's a solid movie. He definitely elevates it. It's a pretty standard sports story. It's essentially a serious version of that Billy Crystal movie, My Giant, but I digress. He's pretty goddamn good in it. Men, Women, and Children, the Jason Reitman film, which I find to be criminally underrated. He has a small little subplot with Rosemary DeWitt where they cheat on each other, but it's actually really gripping and powerful by the end. And his final scene really leaves a mark.
I
And
still
it's
remember that scene to this day.
yeah, it's left
To
a
this
mark.
day.
It's one of the most quietly intense moments he's had, and it's like it's brilliantly directed and performed. I feel like, and I still think that movie is like genuinely underrated and underappreciated, and I'm still waiting for that reevaluation. That's the word I was thinking of before. Yeah, Jack and Jill is being reevaluated.
Mm,
But yeah, my final honorable mention, Dominic. I hate to do it,
oh
but you'll
boy.
see. But you'll see why.
Oh boy.
Billy Madison,
Whoa. Wow. One of the two halves of Happy Madison.
just because his serious work, I do really love, and I do think there's a couple comedic performances I'm going to touch upon that have left a bigger mark. I think Billy Madison was a great, like, "Oh, this is Adam Sandler as a movie star" kind of movie, and it's cool, like, in a way that, Tommy Boy was for
Mm,
Chris Farley, but I just think it's a little too goddamn silly, and, like, he's a little
mm.
too, like,
See, that's what I love about it.
he's a little too I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it's a little too green of a performance
Mm,
in
that's
contrast
fair.
to the rest of his performances as he grew as a performer. So, yeah, I do think it's a great debut lead performance for him, if you're not counting Going Overboard, which besides that and Blended are the only ones I haven't seen. I've seen every other movie he's been in, um, starring vehicle-wise, but, yeah, Billy Madison's very quotable. It's also more so than Happy Gilmore and Big Daddy and The Wedding Singer, I think the supporting players in this movie, like, have, like, more, like, memorable appearance. Like the Chris
Mhm.
Farley as the bus driver.
Oh,
Like
awesome.
everything he says is great.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald's in this is great.
Steve Buscemi, was that the first
Steve-
time that he'd had Buscemi? No, because of Airheads, but
But yeah, in his
oh
one of
my
his
god,
own
man,
movies. Yeah.
Buscemi's cameo
Yeah.
in that is I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, he's gonna be working with Sandler for the
I'm
rest
glad
of his
I
career.
called that guy.
Glad I called that. It's awesome.
It's
It's
great.
aw
I
I'll get to
died.
that. I digress,
But
but
yeah, but that's my number 11. My number 10, let's see if we're
all
matching.
right.
That's my boy.
Uh no, we're not matching on there. I'm sorry. You'll see once we get to it. But because
But do you have
I'll
it?
pretend that when I get to no, that's not on my list. That's in my honorable mentions.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, Donnie Donowitz. I To me, I think I'm just gonna say this is the most surprising Adam Sandler movie for me because if you remember anybody that remembers the marketing for this, one of the worst Red Band trailers of all time.
Yeah, I
And it
remember
was
being like, "Oh, this just the trailer." Like, I'm like, because I didn't even know what the premise was. Like, I had no idea like what this was gonna be. But I remember thinking of like, this just looks dumb. Like when this was being
mm,
marketed.
yeah, and while it's about Adam Sandler as a teenager being Mary Kay Letourneau'd by a teacher played by
Was he even
eventually
a full teenager? Is the thing? Was he even like four? He looked younger than like a regular.
yeah,
He looked like
he
13.
yeah, he was like 13, 14 or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was a teenager.
yeah.
But, but, yeah, it's, played by Susan Sarandon and her daughter,
Oh my god, that was her daughter.
and,
Holy shit.
they have a kid, and it's Andy Samberg, and Andy Samberg changes his identity and, changes his name rather, and, becomes a successful investment, banker and, is marrying Leighton Meester, and while this has a really questionable premise, terrible
Yeah,
marketing,
man.
red flags abound, Vanilla Ice is his sidekick in this movie. It's so entertaining and just the rare Adam Sandler R-rated movie where
Yeah,
he gets to fully let loose in it's like the fully uncorked Happy Madison movie that you never knew you wanted, but you did. Like, me and James, like, went into this movie expecting it to be bad, and it was actually we were laughing every scene. I was
yeah,
expecting it to suck, and it was great, for what it was, and it has, like, one of the funnier endings for his movies
yeah.
too.
That
Like, one of
ending
the
was
last
well, I'll get to that, but the twist before the actual ending itself was like, what the fuck? Like, just did not see that coming.
but Sandler himself in this, like, I just love the Boston accent that never gets old. I think it's one of his better voices. Like, it's probably the most exaggerated voice I have on the list, I would say. Like, it's not as, like, irritating as, like, Little Nicky or, Sandy
Mhm.
Wexler, you know what I mean? But,
Yeah,
yeah, I just love the sensitivity he brings to the character, and I just reminded me of like, oh yeah, this another movie where it's reminded me I'd rather have Adam Sandler as my dad. But yeah, it's just great. I don't care. I just love the running bit where he has the beer cans, like he has
that's where he
beer on
just
him all the
has
time.
a beer can on him at all times.
And the Boston accent really just gets better as it goes on. Like even by the
Yeah,
end, like it just gets funnier. Like it's a crazy movie that knows it's nuts and insane, but it somehow works, and it's directed by a
yeah.
pretty
I saw Sean
solid.
Andrews directed this. I'm like, oh, this isn't from Sandler's like normal bag of directors.
No, it's pretty solid director that they got for this. Sex Drive's an underrated movie too. So yeah, that's my boy number 10.
Yeah, it came very, very close to beating to being in there. It was very close. And then I
Mhm.
saw Funny People, and I'm like, oh no, it's got to be Funny People over this. Like, I'll say this about That's My Boy because I did like it a lot. The opening scene, it's in contention for like greatest opening scene of a comedy I've ever seen, like ever.
All
And
right,
just, I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
I get it.
Um, because the rest of the movie, like as good as it could have been, and it was, it couldn't measure up to just that pure audacity of just going for it in a way that I have not seen from like a mainstream comedy before or since. Like I just they're just it wasn't coming close to it really, and like the movie
What
had
about the fact that they never like say it's really bad though? because he's still in
Because
love with her
because
by
it's
the end of the
buying
movie.
into the whole idea of the teenage male boy fantasy. They
Yeah, it's
acknowledge it
insane.
multiple times in the movie. They are ultimately making light of the fact that, like, look, there is an unfortunate double standard to this, but the double standard is a thing for a reason. So yeah,
Mhm.
this sucks, but look, this kid just had, it fucked up the rest of his life, but this kid just had the time of his life, and he literally like cashed in multiple times. So it shows that, like, ultimately at the end of the day, like, yeah, he was the one that kind of, screwed himself over in that sense. But and it shows that, like, despite all of that, he was still trying to be a good dad, given what happens at the ending, which, by the way, it's almost like the movie was like self-aware about the
Mhm.
fact that it's like, okay, we know we're not going to top this opening scene. We got to come up with something equally as twisted and disgusting. They're like, what's the one thing that we can get that's crazier than a preteen boy fulfilling his male fantasy of fucking his super hot teacher? Incest. And that's all that I'm going to leave it at there. I'll run through my honorable mentions real quick. Like I said, there were a couple, of course, that I just didn't get a chance to get to. I didn't get a chance to get to Reign Over Me. I didn't get to You Don't Mess with the Zohan. I didn't get to 8 Crazy Nights. I didn't get to Big Daddy. Unfortunately, I really tried. I didn't get to Mr. Deeds. I didn't get to I didn't get to Airheads. A couple other ones that I missed in there. But for my honorable mentions, I have Wedding Singer, which I thought was just okay, but he was really good in. I have Jay Kelly, which I just saw today. Did not like the movie at all, but the fact that I felt so bad for him in that movie, his character and his performance that he gives, I thought was really good, really solid. Bedtime Stories, underrated. I really, really am in defense of this movie. I like this. No, I see that face you're making. I like this movie. I love this movie. I saw it in theaters as a kid. Really, really enjoyed it. It's silly. It's ridiculous. Like every other one of his movies. Is it offensive? Absolutely. I don't care. I had a blast with it. And then another one that came out that should not have been as good as or as enjoyable as I thought it would be. The You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, which he's not even the main character of. It's about his kids and like his piece of shit kids, but he is so good in that movie that like it deserves a worthy spot of an honorable mention. Week Of was fine. That was solid. And then it's That's My Boy and Little Nicky. I'm sorry. I unabashedly loved Little Nicky. I had so much fun with it. That is just a movie that, again, like all of to me, like my fit, like the movies that I vibe with. Like I enjoy the Adam Sandler, specifically the comedies that just go for it, and just give no fucks. And so even though I'm sure like Hubie Halloween was bad, from what I've heard, like I feel like that's a movie that would be right up my alley. And so and that kind of feeds into
I
what
don't think you would like that movie.
we shall see. That is for that will be determined for a later point. But that kind of fed into my choice for number 10. And the thing about my top 10 list that I really tried to go for is I really tried to go for like an equal balance of drama and comedy, because he's one of the few that really truly excels at both. And but the thing about his comedies is that I tried to go for the ones that really like appealed to me for some reason. Because I am such a fucking stickler when it comes to like comedies that like I really enjoy. I don't enjoy like a lot of like mostly like mainstream comedies that a lot of people do enjoy. But if a movie just scratches my funny bone in just the right way, I'm gonna go for it. So that's why I had to put The Water Boy on there as my number 10. Bobby Boucher. And because this is that movie that I watched like probably over 100,000 times as a kid. But I'd never seen it in its entirety. But I just remember every time it was on TV, just laughing my ass off so hard. And after having finally seen the entirety of the movie, it's one of those movies that, again, it's such a stupid, absurd premise. He's basically like autistic water boy who has essentially been domineered by his mom, played by Kathy Bates, who was essentially doing her Misery performance, but in a comedy if she'd had a kid in like the
Mhm.
bayou in Louisiana. And of course, he's secretly like has like the ability to tackle better than anybody else when he's just been bullied and pushed to the line far enough. And he just happens to be noticed by Henry Winkler, who's a football coach that's trying to manage this up and coming team that's losing. And Adam Sandler's Bobby Boucher ends up being the guy that turns the team around. And it's just the ultimate, like, stupid, like, okay, like, idiot ends up being the guy that leads the Doubt on Their Luck sports team to the final win. So it's that equal blend of just stupid comedy that you expect from Sandler movies. And, like, they are just going for it in a way that is just unbelievably dumb. And, like, just a really, really, like, triumphant thing. Like, by the time you see them, like, winning all those games in the end, like, I'm rooting for them hardcore. Like, it's a formula that works so well that he kind of repeated it a little bit later when he did The Longest Yard a couple of years later, albeit, like, a lot more straight-laced and straightforward. I would say he's a much more like relatively level-headed character than he is here. But Yeah, and he gets to fuck Fairuza Balk, who like there were many people that were like hotter than Fairuza Balk, specifically at that point in the '90s. But oh man, like I was just like, because that's the other thing too, also that he had to put in every one of his movies. He was always like the loser that always gets like the hottest women imaginable. Because in the same year he gets not Reese Witherspoon, Drew
Drew
Barrymore
Barrymore.
in The Wedding Singer. So yeah, Bobby Boucher, The Waterboy, number 10.
Hooters, Hooters, Hooters. Number 9, Big Daddy.
All right.
Uh, yeah, this is a big one for me because it's just one of the most like comfy '90s movies that I can rewatch, and it's has a great soundtrack, great ensemble. It has Zach and Cody are in it as the kid. Adam Sandler plays this law school uh, graduate who he's a kind of a loser. He works at a toll booth and he's going out with Christy Swanson, who's really hot in this too. And yeah, it's just super quotable, really heartfelt. You can call it saccharine and syrupy, but it works, and I think it is well directed and the tone is well managed, culminating in a legendary courtroom scene where everything goes awry with Steve Buscemi as the homeless man obsessed with McDonald's breakfast and Rob Schneider as Adam Sandler's European uh, best friend slash delivery man. And it's hysterical. Oh, it's like lamb and tuna fish. Oh, do you feel better with if I said spaghetti and meatballs? Yes, considering we're in America. Hey, I'll give you a crew cut, mister. Yeah, let me see your clippers. Great. It's fucking perfect. But yeah, it's just Adam Sandler. He was really in his bag, I would say. Like, right. We'll get to the Wedding Singers shortly, but like, yeah, once he got that, and I think he was Golden Globe nominated for Wedding Singer. I think he got the confidence to make a movie like Big Daddy, and I just think he really just solidified it as like he's like America's everyman comedy guy, and he's not too crazy. He's relatable, and he's really quotable in this. Like I said, it's just a movie star performance I really enjoy. So yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about this in that combined interview that he did for I think
Mhm.
it was Variety with
With
Timothy
Chalamet,
Chalamet.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
he was talking about the specific scene where he was dressed in like the scuba outfit,
Scuba
talking to the
Steve.
kid, and how
Yeah.
that was a thing that he pulled like from his own personal experience
Mhm.
with his dad. So that was just like I'm like, oh, so this was one of the ones that like was really like special and touching that like he put a lot of like thought and effort into. My number 9 is a movie that I saw in a particularly dead summer of
Mhm.
2022, where it felt like there were a max of like 5
Ooh.
movies that came out. This went right to Netflix. I had no expectations going in. I'm like, oh, is Adam Sandler doing another basketball movie? Okay, kind of already did that with Uncut Gems, and I was pleasantly surprised. Hustle, a movie that, again, like you said, would be pretty generic otherwise, if not for Adam Sandler, who like there is just something about him, like where he had like settled into like kind of that post Uncut Gems phase of his career, where he's like, oh, I have a confidence around me now. Like people are beyond familiar with my thing, but I can like utilize that to the best of my ability. I could do like for lack of a better word, like a Rocky story essentially, but where we're kind of fully aware of what we're doing. And it won't matter because I forgot the name of the basketball player that this is sort of based on. It was I think he's let me see. It's based
Willie
on
Hernan Gomez.
Juancho Hernan Gomez, who is the professional
Yeah,
basketball
Juan Hernan
player.
Gomez.
So it's a kind of like a fictional accounting of like how he was recruited and brought to America. But there was just something about like Sandler tapping into like the relationship that he had with basketball. The director that he got, Jeremiah Zager, who has actually I believe, oh shit, he went on and he directed several episodes of Task. So there you go.
Mhm.
That explains a lot. So that
The
explains why the
better
direction was there.
episodes of Task. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a reason why the basketball sequences work here really well. The connection that he forms with Juancho is great. Like that
Mhm.
kind of like pseudo father-son relationship that he forms, and it all kind of ties in because he's a basketball agent. The whole thing is that he's been working for Robert Duvall's character, who's the owner of this team, for a long, long time. He's finally set to, get a desk job. Then all of a sudden, Duvall dies up and out of nowhere. Ben Foster, who's the kind of shithead son, takes over the company, sends Sandler back on the road. Sandler ends up getting this guy and is like, oh, this could be like the next big thing. And it's just like I said, it's just one of those instances where it's not like a crazy big movie, but it's one where you're just rooting for him by the end. So yeah, and he's really, really fucking good at it. He is fully in his like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, especially when it comes to like basketball, which is like that thing that like I've been able to like sneak into every one of my movies, and like Uncut Gems like a pretty big centerpiece, but now is like, yeah, it's now's my chance to shine where like I know this fucking sport inside and out. So yeah, Hustle, number 9.
Nice. Number 8, Rain Over Me. I remember seeing the trailer for this and going, "What? That looks wild." Like Adam Sandler's playing a guy whose family died in 9/11, his wife and kids.
Oh my
And,
God.
and
That's the
he's
premise of this?
yeah, and Don Cheadle just runs into him and he's like, "Hey, you're my college roommate. We went to dentist school together." I know it has such a sitcom-y, like, premise, but
Oh my God.
it's a really harrowing drama directed by Mike Binder, and yeah, it's a 9/11 movie, the post 9/11 movie, and, yeah, he's just doing what I wanted to do. He had a really cool drum set in this, and he was riding around the city with, like, a 40-mile-per-hour scooter, so it's just like, yeah, I just his family died in 9/11, but that just seems pretty cool, but, like, no, it's his most harrowing role, obviously, and it's just scenes where he really just can't keep control is just completely just hard to watch, and he's excellent in this, and he's the one that makes Don Cheadle look like a freshman in this. As good as Don Cheadle is in this movie, it's just like Sandler really breaks your heart and tears it in half, and he's not playing a character whose life can be fixed, you know, in movie terms. It's a really realistic and honest film, and it's really well made, and it's grown on me over the years, and he's excellent in it. And it's one of his very best dramatic performances.
Got it. Yeah, you've been talking about this movie for a long time. Like I remember
Yeah.
you talking about this like even back in high school, and I was like, "What?" I've never heard it. And the fact that he put this out the same year as I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry is insane. So,
Oh, he's a patriot and an ally.
yep, look at that. My number 8, Men, Women, and Children. This
Nice.
is one, yeah, because and I'll tell you why. Because this is I have you to thank for this. Because this year, 2014, this is the year that I'm like we were juniors going into senior year of high school, and the fall of 2014 is when again
We
run
were
it down with me,
seniors
Birdman, Whiplash, Nightcrawler, fucking the like one of the ultimate all time slates, and I'm like, you know what? I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior in high school. Fuck it. I'm finally gonna start watching these movies. I have the illegal websites. I'm like, I have my computer at home. I have my laptop. Fuck it. I'm finally going to start actually watching some real goddamn movies that are recent, that are coming out, not just classics. And I remember this is one that you were telling me a lot about. Like, you got to watch this one. You got to watch the one that just came out. And I finally watched it. And I don't love this movie as much as you do. It's not my favorite Jason Reitman movie. That one still is probably up in the air.
up in the
But
air.
but
Yeah.
this was really, really solid in terms of like, because this being like a I don't even know how to describe it, but in terms of like it being like a multi-tier ensemble, like for lack of a better word, like suburban drama, but with like a bunch of people who were like either up on the rise of recognizable. Like you have Adam Sandler, you have Jennifer Garner, and I think those two were probably the biggest names in it. You had like Dean Norris, like fresh off of Breaking Bad, Ansel Elgort and Caitlin Dever as they were like right on the rise. You had breakout performance with Timmy Chalamet, who's like barely in this movie, except to like get fucking slammed on a table by Ansel Elgort. Now seeing the career trajectory that those two have gone on since then. Also,
Kind
if
of
I'm not mistaken,
depressing.
Adam Sandler's wife in this is Rosemary DeWitt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the few tolerable performances from her. But
Mhm.
the thing about that, like you were saying, in the arc is the fact that the two of them are both like unsatisfied in their marriage, and they ultimately, inevitably cheat on each other, and just spend the whole movie cheating. And then when they both find out, they are kind of just like okay with it and move on. And the reason why I gotta like particularly give a shout out to this one is because this was at a point where Sandler really wasn't making any if all dramas. Like he had like sprinkled a couple in throughout the 2000s. Your Punch Drunk Loves, your Reign Over Me's, your Funny Peoples. But by this point, he was like fully settled into like the Happy Madison shtick. It had been going on for like 3-4 years at that point. He was only a year away from signing the Netflix deal. And so this was like a rare gem for him. So the fact that he was like still able to give this and also like take a seat back and like appear in an ensemble piece where he was not the lead at all I think it was really, really showing that, like, no, he still had this kind of phase of his career, this side of him that he wanted to show and that he wanted to perform. And he's really, really good at being like a sad boy. Like, he is able to like
Oh boy.
portray sadness and hurt and angst in a way that very few other actors can. And there's a reason why that final scene of his in the movie where he's just constantly asking Rosemary DeWitt in a way that's conveying, like, yeah, I know. Yeah, this has been just like, I asked you, how do you want your eggs? And he says that like 3 or 4. There's just something about the way that he says that sticks with me and will be with me till the day I die. So Men, Women, and Children absolutely has to be on this list.
All right, number 7, The Wedding Singer.
All right.
You got The Waterboy, I got The Wedding Singer. Yeah,
Yep. There you go. We got the
I like
full
it.
98ers on there.
You make fun of this that this is a rom-com. It's a good one though.
It
It's
is,
a
but
really
it's
good one.
like, I have
It's
nothing
hilarious.
against this. It just wasn't it just didn't hit me as hard as I was expecting, you know?
See, 90s Sandler works for me because it's before his running gags and just penchant for like absurdist like toilet humor just
Mm.
became really prevalent in his work. It's just like I just feel like The Wedding Singer, Big Daddy, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, The Waterboy, all these movies really just are just goofy enough that so it could just become poignant by the end, especially this movie. And I feel like this is probably his most serious role up to this point, and he really nailed it. And the chemistry with Drew Barrymore, my '90s crush, definitely, and just it's an excellent cast around him. Christine Taylor, Alan Covert, Matthew Glave, the old lady, Alexis Arquette is really funny. It's just really, really heartfelt. Steve Buscemi's hilarious in this, obviously.
Great
Self-taught,
from there. Yeah, Frank Severo too was
but,
really funny in the scene where he's like trying to give like Adam
oh, yeah.
Sandler like the advice, and he's like, I don't even remember where this was going. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, Frank Zivero. But, oh, and it has one of the great all-time cameos, Lovitz.
John Lovitz. Yep.
The John Lovitz scene is perfect. That's, like, one of the great scenes in an Adam Sandler movie.
Also very well used in the opening sequence of Little Nicky when he falls out of a tree and goes straight to hell.
Sure, but this The Wedding Singer just the curtain, like, thing is just, like, perfect. Like, that's just amazing. And the opening scene where he's, singing, "Spin Me Round,"
Yeah.
great. It's just
Yeah.
really great,
Really
and
good.
it sets the tone for the movie perfectly. So, yeah, number 7, The Wedding Singer.
Yeah, and the Billy Idol cameo at the end too was great. Also, how he like kind of utilizes everybody on the plane. Like I said, that was just the sequence where I'm like, oh, this is like the shticky '90s rom com. Okay, my number 7, Longest Yard. Yeah, this was what I what's funny about this one is
Alright.
this actually came off a recommendation because my idiot actor friends who don't understand sports at all were like, "Oh, we want to watch a sports movie because we're not going to watch the Super Bowl." And I'm like, "Why don't we just watch The Longest Yard?" I've never seen it. And they're like, "Okay." And then I watch it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this rules. This fucking rules in every conceivable sense." Because what this was is at the peak of his powers in the year 2000, Adam Sandler decided to remake ultimately, like, not I wouldn't say that The Longest Yard is a '70s sports classic in the same way that like Rocky is, but why The Longest Yard is important is because it was one of the movies that like kind of helped kick off the sports genre. It was like that one. It was like the rollerball movie that came out. I think that one, and then it was Rocky, and those really kicked off like the sport genre. So the fact that he is remaking it and then basically saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it like in a sleek 2000s way." And
Mhm.
it's going to be just full of comedic potential with all these great cameos around him. You got Chris Rock, you got Joey Diaz, you got Terry Crews, you got Nick Turturro, who is underrated as fuck in this, James Cromwell and William Fichtner as the fucking warden and captain of the prison guards. You got, and that's Dave Patrick Kelly is the dude who ends up getting Chris Rock killed in the middle.
Great
Right? Yeah, you
cast.
got Dave Patrick Kelly, great cast. They bring back Burt Reynolds from the original too. And like I said, it's
Terry Crews is Cheeseburger Eddie.
it was great. It's like, yeah, it's like cheeseburgers gonna love it. And like just the thing about it is that it's the movie where Sandler gets to be like, oh yeah, I'm the smartest guy in every room that I go in. And I love the opening premise too, where he hates his controlling girlfriend so much that he literally gets into a fucking car chase with police to just get sent to jail to be away from her. And then literally looks up at the camera as he's following him and uses that as a means to break up with her and be like,
It's
I
great.
think we should see different people. Like, he knows how to open movies for sure. Like, he knows how to come up with like opening scenes are gonna lock you right in. And then the rest of the movie, like I said, is just like the classic, like longest yard, like sports drama. But it's so well done. And all the people, and I forgot too, Tracy Morgan as the fucking trans prostitute cheerleader. It's just this movie is awesome from start to finish. The longest yard.
Wow, Dominic. So far, nothing in common.
Nothing in common.
All right, interesting. Continuing that trend, number 6, Jay Kelly.
Wow. Okay. So it made
So
it on
let's
there for you.
yes, because this is a absolutely heartbreaking performance as well, and his warmest performance, arguably. Either this or my number 5 pick. We'll see. We'll discuss that. But I just he's the best part of this movie.
I
He
agree.
is the reason why you care about the movie and why you continue watching it because I feel like George Clooney I'm kinda glad because this wouldn't be on the George Clooney list for me at
No,
all
no.
because he's just too smarmy for that
Yeah.
character. It should have been Brad Pitt
Yeah.
and I heard somebody say Alec Baldwin today, and I would have been like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah. Oh,
Alec Baldwin would have been
would have been
crazy,
good for that.
right? Like, yeah, that
I
would have
still
been a
probably
great
would have hated the movie, but Alec Baldwin, yeah.
I don't know, I feel like Alec Baldwin would have made it a little bit warmer. I don't know, I just think it's more believable with somebody like Alec Baldwin. George Clooney don't have kids like this, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think he just has babies now, but,
Yeah,
like,
it's true. Yeah, his kids are young. They're only like 6 or 7, I think.
and I just thought, like, I did enjoy the movie. I do really like Noah Baumbach. I don't love all of his movies like some people, but I'm like a Greenberg, Meyerowitz stories, Squid and the Whale kinda guy. I'm
Yeah,
not a
same.
I like Marriage Story. I really like White Noise. Everything else is, like, pretty good to mediocre to me. But this was well made, very good, entertaining, I mean, like and it was never boring. I wouldn't say I was bored. I was just sort of put off by how unlikable he was. And even by the end where, spoiler alert, he convinces Adam Sandler to join him as a friend by the end, you still don't really buy it. And the very end, the last shot is just sort of baffling the more I think about it. You know what I mean? But like I don't get that Deadpool ass ending at all. But yeah, Adam Sandler is just so good in this though. Like his little arc with Laura Dern, who is again giving another childish performance in this.
Shocker.
But she was annoying in this, right? But
Yes, very.
but Adam Sandler, like when you learn about their little backstory and just everything all the hoops that he has to go through from the very beginning of this movie with George Clooney and how George Clooney never acknowledges what he's doing until he's forced to by the end when he has to run after Adam Sandler's cab. So it's like Sandler is locked into this. It's a completely different side of him, which I wanna see more of. Like, it is more akin to, like, the Hustle performance than the Uncut Gems performance, but I like this casting. I wish this Clooney casting was as successful, but I like the movie as much as I do, thankfully, because of Sandler and how warm he was. And on his Oscar prospects, I do think he still stands a strong chance of not only getting nominated, but maybe a dark horse to win just because of his legacy and how uh, this part in the movie could resonate with actors. So, because he's playing an agent and or a
True.
manager. So,
True.
and he has some really standout warm moments in this, and he really nails those dramatic monologues when he needs to. But it is a dryly funny and entertaining film. So sorry about that tangent. I just wanted to talk about that
Yeah,
one.
no, and that was part of it too. Like I originally like had this title as like a partly like the Adam Sandler Jay Kelly Hall of Fame, and then I watched Jay Kelly, and I'm like, no, I because so here's my thing.
Mhm.
What you were saying about Bomback is correct. I enjoy Squid and the Whale. I enjoy Greenberg a lot. I think that kind of where my so I've noticed a lot of obviously there's a lot of similarities between Wes Anderson and Noah Baumbach. They have I think very similar writing styles, but I think that why I tend to gravitate and why I enjoy Wes Anderson's style more than Noah Baumbach's is because Wes Anderson is still at the very least hopeful. He's always trying to imbue bits of hope. into his movies. And Noah Baumbach has such a cynicism to him that it's in direct contrast with the way that he writes. He always writes in a means of it's like, oh, it's like a wistful, what's the fucking phrase that was described? It was stream of thought. That's right, stream of thought, where it's just like every character is just talking like immediately what's on their mind, right?
Stream of conscious.
And it irritates me after a while because especially when you talk about subject matters like these, because it's tough for me to gravitate towards it. Where you're right, and Marriage Story is kind of where this all started. Like, this Marriage Story was a movie that everybody was like going gaga over, and I'm like, I thought it was just okay. Like, I didn't love it. And then White Noise is a movie that I just absolutely despise. Like, I'm like, what a fucking waste of time that stupid, silly nonsense was. And with this one, I'm like, you've got a movie with George Clooney and Adam Sandler, and the whole of the movie rests on the fact that George Clooney is a movie star who is a shitty dad. Like, and drives everybody away from him because he's a piece of shit rich dude who just lives in his own head rather than like acknowledging, oh, I'm a rich fucking movie star. I've lived a life that very few people have. And now I'm so in my head that I'm driving everybody else away.
It should have been more
so compelling.
I agree. It should have been more of an ensemble piece than a movie about one guy.
You make the movie about his entourage that have to deal with him and made him the antagonist of the movie. That would have been a much, much better movie.
Yeah, and maybe flesh out more people than just Adam Sandler's character.
Yeah.
Like, maybe give a little bit more depth to Laura Dern.
Like, the one scene with Billy Crudup, which everybody is going nuts over, and rightfully so, because that's like one of the best scenes of the movie, if not the best scene of the movie. I'm like, why can't the movie be about him? Why is he not in more of this movie?
He should definitely have at least one more big scene in the movie.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
He utilized as like a ghost for the rest of the movie, and I didn't like that.
It really sucks because the ensemble around him, with the exception of Laura Dern, who I'm like, oh, so she's just going to be the wet blanket character in everything that Noah Baumbach's going to do from now on. The rest of the cast, like outside of Sandler and Clooney, I'm like, Riley Keough is great. Jim Broadbent in his one scene is fucking awesome in that sequence. Like, that's another thing that I'm getting tired of. I'm like, oh my god. And this is actually kind of a similar problem that I have with some of Wes Anderson's more recent movies, but I think Wes Anderson does it a little bit better. Where I'm like, oh, it's just another movie where they just get every actor, they just throw them into these tiny bit parts that don't utilize them well. Although I will say Stacy Keach in his one scene as Jay's dad was very good. But yeah, Patrick Wilson and Isla Fisher pop up at the end of this as like another actor client of Sandler's who gets rid of him because he's focused too much of his time on the Jay Kelly character, on George Clooney. Eve Houston is in there in a quick cameo as an actress that Clooney worked with when he in his younger days. I still want more of her after the Apple TV Plus show that she was in, Bad Sisters, and the movie that she did, the John Carney movie 2 years ago. I want more of her. She's awesome. And it was just another movie that, like previous Baumbach ones, I'm like, Baumbach is already a tough enough of a sell for me because he has released very few movies that are to the level of Squid and the Whale and Greenberg, which to me are the absolute peak of his powers. And I'm just worried that as he continues to stew in this kind of aura of stream of thought mixed with extreme cynicism, these movies are just going to be harder and harder for me to approach. I was worried about that going in. I try not to have those expectations based off of specific filmmakers that I know what to expect from them, but it unfortunately just did not live up to the hype for me. So yeah, all of that is to go into my number 6, which is the complete opposite of Jay Kelly. My number 6 is probably a little bit low on the list for a lot of people, but I think that's just because, like, given the amount of hype that I knew about this movie going into it versus what I ended up getting, I still enjoyed the shit out of it. And it is a very, very important movie in his career because it's the other half of Happy Madison, Happy Gilmore. Really, really good, really funny, really solid. I think what surprised me the most about this is just how deranged of a character Happy Gilmore is, in the sense of where, like, just the majority of the gags and the shticks don't come from his usual, like, absurdity. It's instead just the fact that, like, oh, this dude is just, like, constantly just one argument away from, like, killing somebody, literally. Like, the fact that this dude is not a serial killer, like, if this movie was made today, Happy Gilmore, the character, would be, like, a griper or something like that. Like, the fact that he is just constantly, like, on the edge of being like about to fucking like murder or seriously harm someone, and the fact that he's just like channeling all of that rage into hockey, but he just can't make it work. And then Carl Weathers happened to see him taking his rage out on the golf course, and is like, oh, I see something in you, you know? And then of course the rest of it, it's like, and the thing is like, it is a really, really noble pursuit. It's like he's trying to, you know, save up enough money so that he can stop his grandma, who's the only person that like ever gave a shit about him. After his dad died in one of the most tragic and hysterical ways possible, taking a hockey puck right to the face, is in danger of losing her house.
At the
And I believe that's,
funeral.
yeah. And I believe that's the same woman who plays also the old woman who gives him the meatballs in The Wedding Singer, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's the same actress?
No, that's a different old lady.
Oh, it is a
The
different one? Okay, I thought
the
it was
one
the same
that
one.
the one that, that's his grandma?
Yeah, the actress that plays his grandma
No,
in Happy Gilmore.
that's a different
Okay,
actress.
it is a different one. I thought it was the
Yeah.
same one. But yeah. And so all of that is to say that yeah, he's really good at this. And the level of rage that he puts into this, and like it just leads into like just all of like some of his great lines. He's like, just tap it in. Just tap it in. Just tap it in. And of course, one of my all-time favorites when he gets into the fight with Bob Barker, which is just I love that like just the kids today would not understand just like what a momentous like moment that is, like seeing Adam Sandler just like, okay, I'm gonna take a brief like however long that sequence is where I'm just gonna get into a fight with Bob Barker and he's gonna beat the shit out of me. And one of the all-time great one-liners, the price is wrong, bitch. It's just it's great. Happy Gilmore is awesome. And also one of the all-time great bad guy performances that
Shooter.
essentially cursed him exactly to play those types of parts for the rest of his career. Shooter McGavin. Oh, I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. You eat pieces of shit for breakfast. No, it's great. Happy Gilmore, number 6.
Cool. Number 5, Meyerowitz Stories.
All right.
He's one of 2 sons of Dustin Hoffman and Noah Baumbach's Meyerowitz Stories on Netflix. One of the most underrated films from 2017.
I
Another
agree.
really good ensemble. Our introduction to Grace Van Patten, one of the
Mm-hmm.
hottest actresses around, and Elizabeth
Daughter of Tim Van Patten, who directed multiple episodes of The Sopranos.
Sopranos. Yep, Elizabeth Marvel, who's marvelous in this, and Emma Thompson as Dustin Hoffman's drunk wife. And yeah, Adam Sandler is just sublime in this. He's playing like a former uh, pianist, and he is hilarious, also heartbreaking in this. And he's playing a father who's newly divorced, and he's dealing with his daughter going to college, and trying to get some time with his dad, who's always kind of neglected him and always favored his other son, played by Ben Stiller, who's also excellent in this. And yeah, you just really feel like just the heartbreak and the melancholy just come right off of Sandler, especially by the end with that climactic speech that he gives after Ben Stiller. Uh, they both are just so marvelous in this, and it's a really rewatchable movie. It's one of the most heartwarming, probably his most heartwarming movie, I would say. Noah Baumbach. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say so.
yeah,
And
I would agree with that.
it's just delightful. I think it's one of the most underrated films of his filmography and of Baumbach's filmography, and everyone involved, because most people overlook this. And 2017 wasn't that great of a year to overlook this. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. It was fine, but they ignored this, and that was a shame.
Yep, it's true. We will get to that on my list because this one is very, very high on my list. Very high. My number 5, the other half of Happy Madison, Billy Madison. I have to. This is you can tell that like this isn't one of my favorite comedies of all time, but when
Mhm.
I watched this for the first time with my brothers, I could just tell that I'm like, oh, this is like a very, very important comedy. And what's funny is that in terms of like important comedies, you're like, this doesn't even really have the whole like heartwarming hoorah message that you can get behind that most of his movies do, because the whole premise of this movie is he's just proven himself to be such a colossal fuck up that his dad cuts him off of his fortune, cuts him out of the family fortune, and he's like, okay, well, I'll just go get a real job. And he's like, you can't, you don't have a high school degree. He's like, you failed all of the classes. And he's like, well, how hard could it be to just repeat grades, 1 through 12? And
Mhm.
so we were essentially watching a trying to think how old Sandler would have been. Sandler would have been 30 by this point. A 30-year-old man go through grades with rage issues, and who is really just a child going through grades 1 through 12. And I really think that this movie is the reason why we have basically the entire subgenre of the man-child that Will Ferrell kind of perfected and took over in the 2000s. Is really because of this movie. And it's another one where, again, against all odds, because again, you take a premise like this in today's day and age, this premise would not even be considered to be made in a movie. But somehow, against all odds, Sandler's able to take this and makes you root for him by the end when he has to enter into that spelling bee that results in John Hurd giving a speech that has been memeified to death at this point. But you've got all of these different incredible supporting bit parts around him as he learns to become a better person throughout. And also just some really great gags. The shit with the penguin in the beginnings makes no sense, but it's hysterical.
You mean
where he's
Jim
so high on
Downey?
drugs, he's just visualizing drugs. What's that?
You mean Jim Downey?
As who?
You said John Hurd.
Yeah, it's John Hurd that gives the speech at the end, right? The one where it's like, you have given this complete wrong answer.
That's
And
Jim Downey.
that's Jim Downey?
Yeah.
What?
That's SNL writer Jim Downey. Yeah.
Oh my God, I got to go back and rewatch that clip then. I thought for the longest time that was John Hurd. Yeah, Bradley Whitford gives a really, really good bad guy performance as like the sniveling villain. I forgot the actress who plays the teacher, but she's really cute. Chris Farley and Steve Buscemi in the bit parts though are phenomenal. Chris Farley as the bus teacher, and also the whole O'Doyle family who he runs into in literally every single grade, and then they end that arc by just having to literally drive off a cliff. I'm like, okay, that's one way to get rid of.
That's one of the great running gags.
That's pretty great. Steve Buscemi literally just being the dude who got bullied so badly that he literally had all of his bullies on a fucking like kill list, and then fucking Sandler literally like by calling him and like be acting like the one nice deed that he reached out inevitably spares his own life. Like, again, I understand your point as far as like, yeah, that the movie itself is silly outside of him, but it's one of those things where, again, it's so iconic that and really, again, it's because he had Airheads before this, but this is like the beginning of the Adam Sandler songs before this. So yeah, Billy Madison has to be on there. Also, fun tidbit, the Billy's mansion, the same that they shot in, the same mansion that they used for the X-Mansion in the X-Men movies.
Yeah, I guess so. Number 4, Happy Gilmore.
All right.
Probably his funniest movie, I would say. His best comedy, easily. The laughs per minute in this thing are off the charts from the very beginning. He's so good in this. It has such a it has a heightened enough for reality to be silly, but also feel like grounded. And I think it works. All of it works. And Julie Bowen, one of the great underrated love interests too, and she's gorgeous. And Christopher McDonald, perfect villain. Carl Weathers, rest in peace.
Talk about Julie Bowen at all either, who's awesome in this too.
Yeah, Julie Bowen was awesome. Alan Covert, hilarious in this.
Yes,
as his caddy.
Yeah,
I just think it's just completely iconic. The soundtrack is iconic. From Leonard Skinner to House of Pain, it's just perfect. And I liked the sequel also. I enjoyed the sequel for what it was, but it was also a little too silly. It was more like Billy Madison than it was Happy Gilmore, but I still had fun with it. Benny Safdie was having a fun time in that movie, you know?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Another random bit that I just remembered from this movie too. The fucking the dad from Freaks and Geeks, who is Joe Flaherty, who plays the dude who is constantly trying to sabotage him, only because like Shooter is paying him, but he just desperately wants to hang out with Shooter and be his friend. I thought that was hysterical.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's a near perfect comedy for me.
So Happy Gilmore, you're number 4. My number 4. Funny People. Watched this just recently. Really
my number 3.
Oh shit! Look at that. So let's just do this back to back then. So Funny People. My number 4. Your number 3. So I had heard a lot of things about this movie for years, but I didn't quite know what to expect going in. And what this movie is, it's a lot of different things. It is an Adam Sandler. It's the Adam Sandler like career retrospective. It's the him kind of handing the baton down to the next generation of comedic stars, because this movie is littered with them. Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, Jason Schwartzman, Aubrey Plaza's in this movie. Bunch of other people are in this. It's Judd Apatow also doing like, okay, he's like, I'm gonna do like my homage to stand-up comedy in general, and it results in a premise that might come off as a little mean-spirited, but in hindsight, I think it really works. I think this movie like really, really, really works. And I think it was, I would make the argument that this movie was just happened too soon. It was just way ahead of its time, because this is a movie that has aged really well, just in the vein of comedy, I think, that's happened since then.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
I
yeah,
I just think it was ahead of its time, I'll give you that. I just think the 3rd act is really what held this movie back from being a classic
mhm,
for everybody, where it gets too entangled in the Leslie Mann, Eric Bana of it all.
right.
But because that first half is, like,
It's so good.
one of
Oh
the
man,
best things of the decade,
yeah,
arguably. Like,
it's
one
awesome.
one of the best first halves of a movie in the decade, I would say. And yeah, I don't care if it's hyperbolic, it really was that cool feeling in 2009 as a young comedy nerd. Like,
Yeah,
all these actors that you're saying is, like, great to see Seth Rogen, like, have this
yeah.
kind of, like, character acting in him, I would say.
Aziz
Just the
Ansari too. I forgot about him. He was the other one that I forgot.
Randy, Randy,
It's
love it.
awesome.
This is so fucking great, and
Yeah,
it's just I love that this is, like, pretty much Adam Sandler in an alternate dimension, where he if Adam
yeah,
Sandler wasn't the nicest guy in the
yeah,
world, if he just made nothing but horse shit, if he didn't even really care about comedy that much,
yeah,
and he's just realizing, "Oh, he's a piece of shit," while he might be on his deathbed, may or
yeah,
may not be. He's even a douchebag to his doctor. Like,
yes,
it's a very, like, polarizing character to play for Adam
yeah,
Sandler, but the fact that he really nailed it by the end in that final scene in the
mhm,
deli section at the supermarket that
yeah,
Seth Rogen works at. It's like it's just so poignant and memorable to this day, and I just think Sandler really makes this prickly character, like, especially the little freak out moments in that montage where you see, like, him freaking out at Seth Rogen when he's on the cancer medication and everything,
yeah,
like, it's, like, really some of his most powerful acting,
yeah.
for
I
sure,
agree. It
and
really, really impressed me,
yeah.
that he was capable of doing this as an actor, especially
Mhm,
like at a time when he was coming off of a string of all the silly, absurd, stupid shit that he had put in his movies. Like this is again like Click, now
mhm,
pronounced to Chuck and Larry. It was a year after You Don't Mess with the Zohan, which was like the absolute peak of like just all time silly, stupid shit. And the fact that he was able to
mhm,
turn out this performance, and I like the point that you brought up about like this is like the alternate version of Sandler, because what's so
mhm.
insane is that you're right. This is the version of Sandler where like
It's his Jay Kelly.
it literally is his
Yeah,
Jake Kelly, where he plays
yeah,
unlikable. And what's so insane about it, and this really is a tribute to him, is that as much of a despicable piece of shit as he is in this,
George Simmons, yeah.
I'm still rooting for him. I still like him by the
Well, you
end
don't want
because
him to die,
yeah,
that's
well,
the
you don't want
thing.
to die. It's that thing, but it's
Mhm,
also the thing of where like you know that he is inevitably going to come back around. You legitimately feel bad because they very purposely don't show any of the past stuff that he had with Leslie Mann. So you're almost like rooting
well,
for him.
they tell
Yeah,
you about
right.
it.
Well, they tell you about it, but they don't
Yeah,
show you. And that's
yeah,
what's key. Because hearing about something from a third source versus actually seeing it and like seeing a first person viewpoint, it creates a distinction there. And the fact that Eric Bana at first is presented as such like a clueless, jock type, you're like automatically rooting for Sandler. And like you were saying, it's the fact that the Leslie Mann Eric Bana section definitely got some flack when it came out, but it is
well,
necessary
that
because
was the
the movie,
number one flaw that people have with the movie.
well, understandably so, but like it is important, is what I'm saying. It is important seeing that, like, oh no, he could never function in this type of environment. He couldn't be a family man. He's just living out this fantasy in order to kind of, surmise him. And the fact that he is able to come back and have that section at the end with Seth Rogen in the deli, where they're like, I love the scenes of like just him and Seth Rogen bouncing joke ideas off each other, because like I don't think I've seen that in a movie ever, like ever, because Even in Don't Stop Now, that sketch comedy movie that we saw with Keegan Michael Key and Julian Jacobs that came out in 2016, that was more so about sketch comedy. So that's not the same. And even in that one spent so much time with them behind the scenes of like the in between moments of them like
Oh, Don't Think Twice?
don't think twice. That's the one that I'm thinking of. That movie spent so much time with the in between moments that you didn't really get to see a lot of the performance, and also
That
because it's
movie's
sketch
alright.
comedy,
Yeah.
it's a whole different process than like coming up with like actual stand-ups. So like actually seeing the behind the scenes of like actually like how people came up with jokes and such. And also too in a pre-smartphone era too. I think that's essential too, because like that's another thing too. Also, that again is part of another reason why that movie would never happen today. And yeah, it's just it's part of like it captures such a specific time as well, while also feeling timeless. And Sandler's work that he does here, even in his future dramatic performances, it was unlike anything again. But again, part of one of infinite number of performances that he would eventually put into Uncut Gems. So yeah, my number 4, your number 3, going into my number 3. You already talked about it a little bit. Meyerowitz Stories. So this is important because I'd seen Sandler in Men, Women, and Children, which was a tiny, small part in comparison to the rest of the people in that movie. And this was the first one where I'm like, oh, he essentially has to co-lead this as a dramatic part, and he is flawless in this. I remember this is the first Noah Baumbach movie that I ever saw because I saw this prior to Squid and the Whale and Greenberg, and I'm like, wow, like this is a really different and interesting and unique dynamic and examination of a family unit of like, witnessing like adult children interacting with their aging parents while also like dealing with their role as parents as well. It's like there's a really unique synergy here going on. And I think it's really, really interesting. And I love the juxtaposition of where you spend so much the first half of the movie with Sandler, who's like, you can tell is the guy who like gave up on the ambition to go and like be the family man and be there for his daughter. And now his daughter is going off to college. Now this whole era of his life that he's dedicated himself to is like kind of gone away, and he doesn't really know what to do with that. And then, conjoined with Ben Stiller's arc, where Ben Stiller went for it. He's like the hotshot lawyer, architect, whatever job profession that he has. I haven't seen the movie in 8 years, so it's been a minute. But and how they both essentially have like different kind of, a very, very different relationships with their father. And they both and how it's informed their relationship, and how they're trying to like move past it and be mature adults, but there's just so much baggage from their past that's kind of holding them back. And also the fact that very, very purposely, I loved it. Obviously it's kind of like commonplace now, but at the time, like two actors that were primarily known for doing like comedic parts, doing like pretty awesome like serious drama, I'm going to say, but also it's Noah Baumbach, so there's going to be moments of levity in there as well. And it was just, at the time, this just felt so fresh and so new and so original. And it was criminally overlooked by the Oscars, I think. And yeah, it is one of Sandler's best work. It was the one like right before we were about to get Uncut Gems. And yeah, he's phenomenal in it. It's one of his best movies, best performances.
Absolutely. Number 2, Punch Drunk Love,
Also my number 2.
Paul
All right,
Thomas
so
Anderson.
we're in lockstep here.
Yeah,
We're in lockstep here.
my number 3, PTA, I would say. I love this movie. It's so unique and one of a kind and just excellent all around. Sandler really needed this for his
Yeah.
career, I would say. Like definitely. Not that he was starting to suck, but just to change up the pace and prove that he could really, really, really carry a picture in a serious and well-made picture, like to boot. Like, yeah, it's just PTA and the fact that he really went out of his way to want to work with Sandler and write a movie for him was just awesome. I miss that kind of PTA. Not that I didn't love One Battle After Another. I love that, but I was just it's one of the most like just remarkable and career changing performances of the century, I would say. And I'm glad that we have this movie
Yeah.
in the pantheon.
Yeah, so this is still a little bit low on my PTA list, only because in comparison to some of his more bigger and grandiose movies, this one's a little bit more small and intimate. Not that I have anything against that, but it's just it makes in comparison to like some of his more bigger and grandiose, more epic scope ones, it doesn't. I'm not gonna say it doesn't measure up. That's the wrong turn of phrase, but just like those movies, like I feel like impact me more. But this was just such a even amongst PTA's filmography, which is already pretty unique and eclectic to begin with, this is just one that really, really stands out because it's just so in the main character's head, and it just portrays kind of emasculation in a way that I've never really quite seen it before. And it's very, very purposeful. The fact that his character has grown up in a house entirely full of women, but notice that there's no father figure around as well. And I love how the first couple minutes of this movie where we're being introduced to him, it just shows his life is constant chaos, and nobody
Yeah,
portrays constant chaos the way that PTA does. Just nobody, where it's just constantly everybody
the
chattering in his
sisters,
ears.
yeah.
It's just, and I like too how he doesn't film it controlled as well. Like it's actually kind of funny, like in direct contrast to Jay Kelly, where Jay Kelly, like it's nonstop chaos, but it's all controlled, it's all whispered. Everybody's like coming in at their right time. Not
Mhm.
here. Not with a PTA movie. Here, everything is chaos. Everything is messy. This guy's life is a mess. He has no idea, like, kind of, he's just kind of stumbling his way through life. He is like, again, in a way, very similar to what he did with Happy Gilmore, but again, portrayed in a dramatic sense. That's the thing that I love too that sets Sandler apart as a performer. Is he's one of the few people where you take the work that he does for drama and it translates so seamlessly into comedy, and then vice versa. All that changes are he truly is the one person that shows that like there is no such thing as somebody like who's a good comedic actor versus a good dramatic actor. All that matters is the scenarios that you are placed in. And here it is like exactly the situation of where in a different director's hands, this could just as easily be another comedy. But it's the fact that Paul Thomas Anderson, kind of who was the first person to really see this side of Sandler, who, despite the fact that Sandler was trained as a dramatic actor, the fact that he went and was in comedy was only seen as being funny for so long. The fact that Paul Thomas Anderson looked at him, also in an era too that was the pinnacle of people getting pigeonholed in these certain specific parts, was able to look at all of his characters that he'd done up until this point and was like, I can do something like dramatic with this. I can do something like really, really unique with this. And Sandler tells the story of Paul Thomas Anderson hand delivering the script to him and him being like, oh, this is something really unique, really, really special. To the point where even at like the height of like people like, you remember in like the early days of YouTube when we were in like high school and just out of high school where people were just dogpiling on Sandler left and right for all the movies that he was making. They would constantly go back to, oh, but he has Punch Drunk Love. That's like his like one word that like showed, oh no, he could really do it. And like, again, it's like the fact that that movie had that much longevity to where the movie's like 20 plus, almost 25 years old now, which is insane to say. The fact that this is the movie that ultimately was kind of the beginning and showing that like, no, there's a lot more to this Sandler guy than like kind of the crazy funny guy who like does all the voices and impressions and
Yeah.
and the shticks and all that. Like there's way more to him than that. And this was really the beginning of it. And yeah, it all leads to our number one, baby. I mean, we've been waiting all episode to do it. I mean, this is such a special movie for us just because this
Uncut
was
Gems.
the Uncut Gems. Like, so we saw this movie together at New York Film Festival. This was like this movie, so like we had seen mid-90s the summer before Jonah Hill's directorial debut for like an early screening, and that we drove all the way down to Paramus, New Jersey for. And that was like already like a pretty seminal like core memory for us as far as like being movie fans, like grew up together watching movies. But this was like the fact that this came out in 2019. We saw this at New York Film Festival. The Safdies were there. I actually like briefly talked for like 5 seconds with the Safdies right before the screening started, and Ronald Bronstein. We were sitting right in front of Steven Van Zandt, Silvio Dante himself. This was like the fact that we thought we weren't going to be able to see it, and then they added the second screening, and I told him, like, I'm buying the tickets now. We are fucking going. You are calling out of work that day. And it was like, and we went down. We talked with some dude who like thought he was Jesus Christ, who we were smoking weed with him that was probably laced with PCP. So it was like just as much like the story of the lead up to the movie as far as why this is such a crucial, like, pinnacle moment for us. And then we watch the movie, and the movie starts, and it's on, and take it from there.
One of the greatest movies of the century, easily. It's the last 10 out of 10 I've given. So let's see if Marty Supreme breaks the curse, because I cannot wait. And yeah, it's the performance of a lifetime. The
Truly.
biggest, really the biggest Oscar snub of the last 10 years, besides Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler. But yeah, just one of the all-time performances. You know, only he could have really played this character
Yes.
and done him justice. And this was supposed to be Jonah Hill. So
Yep.
yeah, Adam Sandler really knew how to play this character. He's so gripping in this. He's hysterical in this. He's frighteningly hilarious as this gambling addict who's just on the verge of getting killed. Okay? And it has one of the great climaxes of all time. I even showed the climax of this movie to my grandma when she was still alive, and she was blown away by it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is one of the all-time movies for me already, even being 6 years old. I don't
It's
care.
crazy
It's the
to think
last 10
it's
o
been
it
6 years.
it's the last 10 out of 10. Everyone's great. It was the great breakthrough performance and end of Julia Fox,
Yep.
um, Kevin Garnett, Lakeith Stanfield.
Mhm.
Everyone's great. The
Yep.
Weeknd's even good in this.
The Weekend
Er
was go fuck the Weekend. Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. I will still never forget that one-liner. And just to talk more about the performance
Eric
itself.
Bogosian, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And as far as oh man, Eric Bogosian, who I saw at Toronto, and it was literally I texted you after he walked past me at Toronto, and
Mhm.
like you were like, you should have called out hey Arno. I'm like, nah, I'm like not at a film festival. I'm like, if it was on the street, maybe, but I'm like, actually wait, I was like, no, wait, I'm wrong. I was like, no, like I was like, fuck. I should have done that. I absolutely should have done that because if there was one place where I would have done that, it's a film festival. And the thing about the performance, as far as like people talk all the time about performances that are like the culmination of one's career to the point where it kind of has lost its meaning a little bit. This truly was like the culmination when you consider like how hard the Safdies pursued him, how they literally envisioned him for this part originally. The fact that they went through so many different people, Jonah Hill, Sacha Baron Cohen was like at a table read that they did at one point. Like there were so many different people, and they kept
Benicio.
circle. Benicio del Toro was up for this too. There you
Mhm.
go. The fact that they went around to all these different people, all of whom would have been good as Howard, but there's nobody that could have quite pulled out. The fact that literally I work with the guy who I have been trying to get fired from my job for years on end, who is literally the embodiment of Howard Ratner. Like, it is fucking insane to me how spot on he is and just how perfect he is for this movie. The fact that he goes from, again, being fucking hysterical to just being an absolute degenerate to the fact that you're still kind of rooting for him, even though you know that like at every chance you get, the movie is it's also one of those movies where it is at every point dumping on the main character, but he deserves it because he is entirely the victim of his own flaws, and the fact that he can't stop gambling, and the fact that the movie is still able to make you root for him to the end is truly a testament to his performance and the Safdie and Ronald Bronstein's filmmaking and writing abilities and everything that goes into this,
Mhm.
and leads to literally one of the most, again, pun intended, mind-blowing endings of like that I've ever seen. The fact that like,
The
oh
3rd
man,
act in itself is just
it's just
brilliant.
one all-time
Mhm.
great third act, to the point where even like I saw this with a guy who didn't like this movie, which I kept telling him afterwards, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But even he had to admit, it's like, yeah, that third act is like unstoppable, just fucking
Mhm.
unstoppable. And I mean, yeah, it's like the fact, like, I'm like, I will just never forget, like, just being like jolted, like, oh my god, like, because, and it's one of those things where it's like, I think this is the last time where you got this, where you're like, in hindsight, you're like, there's no other way this could have ended, but like at the time, like, it was just so shocking because you're like, oh my god, because also, if I'm not mistaken, is that the first? I'm not counting Click because like fuck Click and that bullshit, but is this the
Mhm.
first time that we'd ever seen Adam Sandler die in a movie?
Just a second.
I think so.
Little Nicky. No, I'm kidding.
That Come on. That doesn't count. He's the son of the devil. Like, he was never alive to begin with, quote
Yeah, but
unquote.
they killed him, right? In the middle of the movie, he goes back to, like, heaven or
Okay,
whatever.
fine. Let me rephrase that. Is this the first time where you've actually seen Adam Sandler die and stay dead in a
No,
movie?
but no, but do you know who did die in one of his movies? His
Who?
family in 9/11. That's who died.
Him, not anyone related to him. Him, his
No, I
character.
know. I know, I know what you said. I just wanted to say
Oh
that
man,
again.
I digress. Uncut Gems. It's number one. It's the greatest performance that he's ever given. As good performances as he's given since then. I don't know if he's ever topping this. Yeah, it truly is the performance of a lifetime. I can't think of a better way to end the Actors Hall of Fame 2025 edition than with talking about not only one of the greatest movies that we've ever seen together, but like just one of our, I think possibly still one of like our collective greatest movie experiences. I hope that we can replicate at least some of that with Marty Supreme when we see that in 2 weeks together, but who knows? So rounding it out for the combined list, we have 5 entries in common: Uncut Gems, Punch Drunk Love, Meyerowitz Stories, Funny People, and Happy Gilmore. So I'm voting that those should be the top 5. Just in terms of how do you want to rearrange them? Are you fine with that order, or do you want to maybe rearrange and put Happy Gilmore up a couple spots?
Hmm. Gems, Punch Drunk Love,
Mm-hmm.
Funny People, Happy Gilmore, Meyerowitz.
Got it. So Funny People at 3, and then Happy Gilmore at 4. All right, so we have left. So we have a lot of spots. So, like I said, doing this as usual for our 5. I pick 2, you pick 2, and then we both decide on 1. So you go first. What is
You
your
know,
first pick?
it would be funny if
What?
we were sitting in front of John Magaro at Marty Supreme.
That would be insane. That would actually be like, okay, like this convinces me this is a simulation. I mean, we're not gonna be seeing it at New York Film Festival, so
I
that already
know.
kind of removes it. But that would be fucking
I'm just
insane
saying
if
if
John
we
McGarrett was behind us.
yeah, because he played
Yeah,
young
because he was the young
Silvio.
Silvio Dante in Many Saints of Newark. Yeah, that'd be fucking nuts.
Alright, so you want me to pick 1 or 2?
Yeah, you pick 1 and then I'll pick 1. Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
It's gotta be Jake Kelly because I just wanna say briefly, he's he's gonna get nominated for this.
All right.
He's gonna get nominated for it. I
All
don't
right, so
see
you
him
marked
getting
it
snubbed
here.
for it. Clooney doesn't have to come along with it.
All right, got it. So that's gonna be your choice, Jake Kelly. I'm gonna go with Longest Yard for my first choice.
Nice. And then
All
I'm
right.
gonna go Wedding Singer.
All right, there you go. Perfect. Going down the line. And then my second choice is going to be I'm gonna go Waterboy. I'm putting Waterboy in there for my second choice. I think it deserves to be in there.
Alright?
All right. And then so that leaves we have between the two of us, we have 5 spots. So we have That's My Boy, Big Daddy, Hustle, Reign Over Me, and Men, Women, and Children as the finals. Oh, sorry, and Billy Madison. Oh,
And Billy
fuck.
May. Yep.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm changing my choice. Sorry, I'm changing my choice last minute. I'm
Okay.
doing Billy Madison, not Waterboy.
Okay, so
So
I wanna give it
Waterboy,
to I wanna give it
yeah.
to Big Daddy.
You want to give it to Big Daddy? Done.
Yes.
Done. All right.
I
So
I
Big
I
Daddy.
think I don't know if you'll find Big Daddy funnier, but I think you'll maybe you will, but I think it's a better movie than The
Hmm,
Waterboy, but whatever.
interesting. Yeah, we shall see when we get to that. All right. So real quick, run it down. So for the final 5 spots, so Jake Kelly at 6, Longest Yard at 7, Wedding Singer at 8,
Sure.
and then Billy Madison at 9 and Big Daddy at 10, or vice versa. Perfect.
I'm
All
fine with
right.
that.
Done. So with that being said, I'm going to need your help with these directors because these are comedy directors, and I am not as familiar with comedy directors as I am with dramatic directors. So our final Actors Hall of Fame for the year of 2025. Number 10, Big Daddy, directed by.
Dennis Dugan.
All right. Number 9, Billy Madison, directed by.
That's Tamra Davis.
All right. Number 8, The Wedding Singer, directed by, hold on, I think I know this one. This
Frank
was Frank
Karachi.
Karachi? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Number 7, The Longest Yard, directed by
Peter Segal.
Peter Segal. That's right. Number 6, Jake Kelly, directed by Noah Baumbach.
Look.
Number 5, The Meyerowitz Stories, also directed by Noah Baumbach.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Number 4, Happy Gilmore, directed by, this was also Dennis Dugan, I believe. Yes, got it. Number 3, Funny People, Judd Apatow. Number 2, Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson. And number 1, Uncut Gems, the Safdie brothers. Dustin, it has been an honor and a privilege. I promised you we were going to eventually do it, and we finally did it. 2025, our year, we finally hit it. 12 for 12. How did real quick, since we're here, how does it feel, man? We've been doing this for 2 years now. I don't know. The 2025 just in general felt like a special year for us in terms of how we were covering this.
I like doing it. It's fun.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, we're not stopping anytime soon. We're going to keep this going for the foreseeable future up until one or two of us drops dead. Ultimately, like I said, we got a big slate, a big slate of people that we have planned. Some more heavy hitters that we've got. We're doing Jonah Hill. We're doing Matthew McConaughey. We're doing Al Pacino. We're doing Christian Bale. We're doing Anne Hathaway. We got John Goodman planned for later in the year. We got some giants. We got some titans planned for 2026. So make sure you guys stay tuned for another whole season of Actors Hall of Fame brought to you exclusively on the Talking TV channel from myself, the movie nerd, from Dustin, the Duster Mason. Dustin, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Mr. G Movie Reviews on YouTube, Dustin Mason on Letterboxd.
Yes, sir. And you guys can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talking TV Podcast across all platforms. As always, people, 12 seasons in a short film and watch more fucking movies. We'll see you guys next year for another season of Actors Hall of Fame. Take care.